get this thing going.
Mark, are you ready for us to get started? All right, thanks.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order and get started with the roll call.
All right, good evening, everybody. Chair Wertz.
Here.
Tony Bevel is not here. Ruth Ann Rusnak.
Here.
Mike Smith.
Here.
Chris West.
Here.
And Tiffany Yant.
Here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, so approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any comments or corrections in the minutes from last time?
It looked good to me. So I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, so let's take a vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 And all opposed, say no. None. All right, we'll move on to business. So tonight we have to select a new vice chair due to a resignation. So let's see who wants to step up and nominate themselves or someone else. I'm off the hook now, so one of you guys.
Come on, someone be brave.
Well, I think that Chris and I are due to rotate out relatively shortly, so I don't think either of us would make sense.
That is correct.
Looks like we got Tony now.
I nominate Tony.
There you go. Tony, you were just nominated. Tiffany or Ruthann, either of you want to volunteer? Or do we need to nominate someone and let them do it on, not on their own? Vice chair doesn't have to do anything unless I'm not here, right?
That's correct.
It's an easy job. All right, well, Chris nominated Tony. You know what you were nominated for, Tony?
I respectfully decline because I would be the first person as far as knowing the ins and outs of, parliamentary procedure and all of that. Pass. Thank you.
All right. Ruthann?
No, thank you. I decline.
Okay, we're to you, Tiffany.
Okay, I guess.
All right.
Thank you.
Yay!
Do we need to vote, or was that good enough?
I think we'd have to second it. Go through the motions.
All right, someone make a motion then.
Well,
Second.
so, yeah.
So the motion is to appoint Tiffany vice chair. Any discussion?
Great selection.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Tiffany.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 And all opposed, say no. All right, sweet. Thanks, Tiffany.
Yeah.
All All right, so the next on the business is this decision to host traffic safety workshop. Captain Carlson, do you have some background on this one?
So I think he already spoke with you guys, right, Dr. Tagliboo? Yeah. So I don't know if we want to have him on during this time where we have to do it remotely, or maybe just pin it until we're back live and maybe see if we can get more citizen participation if we do it live. So I guess that's the conversation. Or we just don't do it, period.
Something live sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, I've sat through a couple of his presentations with the police advisory, and then he came and did a big one that some council members and citizens attended, and you really, it really should be live so that you can have that good flow and stuff. So that would be my recommendation, is to wait till we come out the back end of this stuff we're in right now.
I agree. I've attended his workshops. I think they're outstanding. But I think live would be good, especially if you could involve more people that maybe would want to attend.
Okay. So we'll just pin it. We'll let them know that we'll bring this back up when we're live again.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now we'll move on to issues and complaints. And first on the list is the tracking sheet review. I don't know if anybody had any specific questions or comments, or Captain Carlson, if you had anything in particular you wanted to discuss with that form.
No, I don't until we go down to the specific complaints.
I'll just say I like the form. I think it's working well for tracking purposes.
And you did a good job.
Okay, if there's no comments on that, we can move to our first update there. So number 007.
Yeah, so that's the no parking where we approved the signs to go in on Lavender Place. We posted it. We did get a few comments on that one. Basically, it was the homeowner right in front of where the sign was going in. They're not opposed to it 100%. They just want the sign put in where they're not looking at it directly out their window. So I told them that I'd try to work with the city on that, but it's going to have to go in that green space in front of their house. Yeah, but I think we can maybe manipulate it a little bit so they're not looking right out their window at it. The other comment we had was because the sign posted on one side of the street, the question was, are those signs going up on both sides? So I explained that to the other resident. He was happy with the explanation. And that's it. The basketball hoop, which was kind of a side issue, that was moved into one of the residents' yard. They took ownership of it, even though it wasn't technically theirs. So they got it off the street. So I believe next phase is when we go and start actually put in the signs.
Great, thank you.
Is this one at the stage that could be marked closed then?
I think we should wait until the signs are actually in the ground, and then we'll just close it. Hopefully, maybe by next meeting, they'll be in the ground. I'm not sure how fast that can take.
That's cool, thanks.
All right. Anybody else have questions, comments, concerns on that one? Okay, so go on to the next one. Number 9.
So number 9 was the complaint was bushes to the right of stop sign on the south side of the church. Hide vehicles coming from southwest Smith Avenue area on Meineke Road. This is the location off Sequoia and Meineke. It was amended to remove bushes altogether on south side of Meineke, looking east between the LDS Church driveway and southwest Sequoia Terrace. Bob, can you give an update on where we are with that? You talked some last meeting.
I made a presentation on that situation, and I believe that people had said that they wanted to go through with the signage and striping plan as directed. So I don't have another recommendation. That's what I got.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I think that's what the group approved. It was just in the agenda as like next steps. So I don't know if there's a kind of a game plan for how that would actually play out.
I think the recommendation goes to the city manager at this point, and he will decide whether or not it goes forward. And if it goes forward, then he directs Public Works to install with the appropriate advanced warning of this is what's going to happen here. I'm wondering if there's a way of putting some of this stuff on the web page, showing in action when I have these type of things where I'm presenting something that shows a finished product sort of thing, like a plan that I presented that you guys adopted or at least accepted. Putting that up and saying, here's what's going to happen. Here's what we're going to do. That way it gets out in the public realm.
On the city website?
After it gets through with Joe and he approves it, then I would say, you know, get it out there in some visual form that everybody can see it. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of phone calls with, you know, what does it mean? What are you doing?
So Angie, this is Chris. So the question I have is the blacked out requests or complaints are posted when our agenda is posted to the public, right? There isn't any other, this form isn't necessary, the form isn't on our subpage, is it?
No, they're all included in the meeting packets, which is available to everybody on the city website. But we don't have like a separate place on the city website for those. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I just, you know, I totally agree and recognize what Bob is saying about, you know, that we address this and the city staff came up with a solution and it was signed off on, and we should do something with that. But the question was, we really don't have anything right now, like even the form up, right? So the only other thing, maybe a social media post or something like that. I guess I'm just talking out loud as I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, do you think we should see about if we should get it approved first before we post it on the city website? Okay.
Yep. It has to go through Joe before you go any further.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about like where would be a good place to put that information out there.
Or even, and why I said the social media is, we've had posts about the committee and the yard signs that we did, but I don't think we've posted about the deliberations and the results of stuff that has come to us. And this one's is a pretty, it's got some neat stuff about it, and maybe that's would meet the need.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, I see what you're saying. We haven't put anything in specifically for these, other than, you know, the YouTube videos are available if people are interested in seeing what the Traffic Safety Committee is doing, and all the meeting packets have, and the minutes have all that information. But maybe we should do something separate too. So
Just
yeah,
my
we
thought.
can chat about it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
All right. Well, thanks for the info on that one, and we can move on to the next item. Number 12. This one is dealing with photometric data on lighting. I don't know if there's an update with that.
Yeah, so the complaint itself was insufficient lighting for crosswalk, busy intersection, four-way crosswalk. We talked about having the city engineer find out who owns or manages the light fixtures and see about replacing it feasible.
And I think that we sent in a request to Public Works to change the unit out from a sodium halide to a LED and
Yeah,
increase the intensity of the light in that intersection. And I'm not sure if that's been completed yet.
The one on the let me get my directions. The northeast corner, that, and it's one of the antique style, was out. The light was out, and it was replaced a month or so ago with a really bright white lens. Or
it's the LED.
The one on the northwest is the older yellow-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it really changed the whole lighting in that intersection. There is no lighting on the south side, right on that corner, but it's so much more well lit today than it was when we first got the complaint.
And I have taken receipt of you might be able to see this. The little packet here is my light meter, and I'm learning how to use it. So
Your picture's off, Bob.
my picture is off. No, shows me the picture that's on.
Not for us.
Huh.
I see him.
I can see him.
Me too.
Woohoo.
Oh, really?
I just see BG.
Yeah.
He was there a second ago. He was in his Skyrise office downtown or something.
Yeah. Here I am, and there's the light meter. So I'm learning how to use it, and then I'm going to pass it off to some of my cohorts, and they will actually do the work. And we're going to also give this over to Dan Miller, who's our code compliance officer, who will check lighting complaints, which are usually based, when it's code compliance, about cross-property lighting, pollution and stuff like that. So we have the equipment. It's just making time to get it squared away and give it to people, and then put it on a list of things to do.
Well, it's always exciting to get new toys. You look too happy.
I am so happy about more work. It's budget season.
All right. Thank you.
So have I gotten to that particular one? No, we had them replace the lighting, and they apparently did it. we can go back and check it, but I haven't done anything with anything else that requires lighting analysis for intersections or anything like that, just because I haven't had the time to get it squared away. Just the way it is. It'll be on my schedule, but other things come first, obviously.
All right, so on to the last issue on the agenda for today, which is another previous item we discussed, number 13. So I don't know if there's an update for that one.
Yes, I made a call to DKS, who's our transportation engineer, and the question I asked them was, at what point, at what radius of roundabout do these lights become untenable? Because the way I'm looking at this technically is, if you've got a small enough roundabout, people's heads are not turned a little bit to make the turn. They're turned a lot to be able to make their turn. That you just can't accommodate that type of lighting and maintain safe driving habits while you're trying to make the turn. It just doesn't work. The alignments don't work. And the ones at Meineke are not recommended. Any single lane roundabout, generally speaking, of a smaller radius is not recommended to put these in. It's going to create more of an issue. Where it would be appropriate is on a larger roundabout, i.e. Langer Farms Parkway at Century Drive, i.e. Oregon Street at Murdoch, the school district crossing up at the new roundabout there. They are large enough where those type of lighting systems would be beneficial to the pedestrian. It'd be a better deal. So at this point, just to let everybody know, is that we are currently going to take the roundabout at Langer Farms Parkway, restripe it and recondition it into a single lane roundabout, thereby eliminating a lot of the confusion that we've had with that roundabout. We got that directive, the engineering department got that directive just about a month ago. I've got the engineering firm on board. They're actually doing the design right now, and that should be done hopefully within the next week. I give that over to Public Works and they bid it out and we get it installed before the end of March. So that one is a done deal, and we'll see how it operates. The one at the high school, that's a county road intersection. I'm not sure how to deal with that one at their level. The other item is that the city council sort of weighed in. I'm not sure, do we have a counselor here? At a work session, they did not necessarily like the rectangular rapid flashing beacons as a method for providing pedestrian crossings. And it's neither here nor there for me. I would recommend them at mid-block crossings because that's where they do the best good. And in lieu of that, it would be a full intersection at about 6 times the cost. So I don't think anybody would want to go that route with that type of lighting just for a ped crossing that would be intermittently used. The rapid flashing beacons, they run about 80K to install across a 5-lane or 3-lane collector arterial. So they're 80K a pop to put in. To put in a full signalized, double, triple it. So that's what we're looking at right now, is how do we handle these things.
Bob, was the cost the reason the council didn't like it?
Was the what?
Was cost the reason the council didn't like
Not necessarily cost, not necessarily cost. It was the looks of it, how it operated. I just didn't like the bright flashing. There are some concepts associated with it. If it is a flashing beacon that is supposed to stop traffic that allow people to cross, then why is it only colored yellow? Good question. Why isn't it colored red to signify stop? You have to stop. I don't have the answers to that. And the other things, they just didn't like the looks of them, how they were installed and where they are, what they just didn't fit in. Not to put the council down or anything on their opinions on stuff, but you know, I can't answer their questions right now on that. They had some good ones. If they want to go that route, they'll go that route. It's a policy. There's other ways we can deal with pedestrian crossings that are structurally different and relatively as inexpensive or as expensive as the rapid flashing beacons. We can employ those. So we have options. The idea was to have enough options to select one that we could accommodate. And I think we've got quite a few in the toolbox that could replace the rapid flashing beacon type scenario, if they direct us to.
Bob, before a council decision is made to rule those out as an option within the city of Sherwood, would it be possible for us to be able to weigh in on our feedback to the council?
Yeah, probably would have to talk to Chief Growth about that and get the council to weigh in and take your recommendation up. I don't have that, you know. I would say it would probably be a good idea because then it's a citizen commission talking to citizen elected officials instead of me talking to them where they can ignore me if they so choose. I think it would be good, and I think you guys could say something. I don't know what the process is or what the format would be. Could be a letter coming from you guys. I don't know. John, do you have an idea of what Jeff would recommend?
Well, I'm sure that they can do input. That's not a problem. It'd probably most likely in the form of a letter right now, since it's all remote.
Or would that go through the police advisory board first? To have the police advisory board, you send a letter to the police advisory board who takes it up, and it has a little bit even more weight relative to that.
So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm listening, but I probably missed something. Is this specific to a request that came in? I need a little reminding here.
This is a general policy
Okay, so
on a particular,
on the flashing pedestrian
Yes,
warning things?
the RRFBs.
Yeah. So my advice would be that this committee focuses on requests that come in as opposed to just a general policy position on some kind of a traffic control or traffic calming device. So you have, you know, we've kind of got that menu of options that this committee has to draw from that city council has approved. And on that note, I'm also working on putting that list together with a little bit more clarity about exactly every option you have besides a sign or a raised curb. You don't have those kinds of things. You also have extra patrol and extra police enforcement, so on and so forth. But I think this committee it's most appropriate for this committee to address issues as they're raised or as they're brought to the committee's attention more than it would be for this committee to just what could be perceived as randomly just take a position on something that is not a part of a request, if that makes sense. I just don't know that that would necessarily be appropriate or received very well. And frankly, I think the legitimate question would be why is the committee making a recommendation unless it's connected with something in particular?
It is.
So if it was connected to a particular request and the committee felt that was
appropriate.
in light of all the information, that was the best option, was to put up that sign or some other traffic control or traffic calming device, then yeah, absolutely make that recommendation, and it would move through, and it could eventually go to council if it had some impact on a policy decision. I don't know that a policy decision has been made regarding those things yet. So that's my best answer, I guess, to that, if I'm understanding the question right.
I guess my thought on that was that I think I could be remembering wrong, but I thought that we were involved in helping come up with that menu list of options for traffic safety improvements, and that then went to council with our recommendation, and then council approved that. And it sounds like what I'm hearing is that council may pull one of those items off that menu list, so it's no longer available to be used.
I don't think that's a fair representation, Jason. I think what happened was there was a work session about just in general pedestrian crossings, and specifically what those standards were. And as a part of that conversation, because there's no decisions made in work session, but as a part of that conversation, there's were opinions expressed, as there always are, which is what really work sessions are about. And it was during that exchange where the opinion about the questioning the effectiveness of those rapid flashing, whatever the acronym is, that's where that came up. So there has not been any action to say, no, we're not putting those, take those off the list or anything like that. And so as of this point, there's still certainly opinions about those, but I think as long as this committee is addressing specific concerns that come to them, I don't think at this point there's anything to worry about. You can go off the menu that's been, because you're absolutely right, that menu's been approved, and go off that menu. And frankly, if we're talking about those improvements that are significant enough where it's going to be adding a crosswalk or making improvements to a crosswalk with the addition of those signs, we're probably talking about something that's going to have a cost that's going to be a little bit beyond the norm for this committee. And it's probably going to need to go up, whether it goes to a capital project or whether it goes to special approval through the city manager and the council. I don't know, but it's not like we're talking about a stop sign, right? So, I mean, we're talking about something much more significant than, yeah, we need a stop sign at Denali and let's approve that and move it forward. So, but to specifically address your point, Jason, no, there's not been anything that's been taken off that menu.
Okay.
But Bob is right. It is very accurate and very fair to say that there was opinions expressed about, design standards and where crosswalks go in and why they've gone in some places and other places, and what they include as far as signage and other things. So.
Okay, thanks for the info.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little sidetracked there from number 13, item 13, but I think that we are done with that agenda item.
Do we, Jason, do we close this out? Because what I thought I heard Bob say is that the engineering consultant said with the radius of that roundabout, there's the requested fix doesn't make sense.
I think that what you said sounds correct. And so we could probably close this out with a motion to deny unless somebody wants to propose another solution.
I move that we deny the request based on engineering consultant's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All righty, let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 And all opposed, say no. All right. Well, I think that does it for the issues on the agenda. Citizen comment is all that's left, if there's any.
No, we do not have any citizen comments tonight.
I have a question. The 2 letters that came to us from individuals related to 09 and 013 and 14, Angie's note said we don't have any obligation to do anything about that, but it certainly sounded like both people were reiterating their requests, the one about the bushes in front of the church and the one about the red painting curb. Do we have any obligation to respond to them about that?
I would think that those folks would get followed up with when the decision's made. So last time we made a decision to make the improvements at Meineke and Sequoia. So my understanding is that when that happens, whether we approve or deny, that there's follow up with the individual. Angie.
What they observed is that we made the crosswalk, what the gentleman observed is we made the crosswalk changes, but weren't going to do anything about the bushes that he felt were blocking the vision. I was over there again recently, and I did not particularly see it as a problem, but I just wondered if we owed a response to his letter.
So that amendment came in December 31st, and we made our decision in January, I believe. I don't know, Angie, what the follow-up process has been on any of these, but
That is correct. So I do get back to all the requesters and let them know what was decided. I also give them the information for the video and the starting point of the conversation so they can listen to all of the input that was received on their particular request. So I don't know that you need to make any specific responses to those letters, but I think it was more just for your information to let you know.
Note of that.
Yes, correct.
are you talking about the letters that came in via email?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on that? Was there any citizen comment, Angie?
No, there are no citizen comments tonight.
All right. Does anybody have any other off agenda items before we close this out? I think that there's an effort to fill the vacant position. So hopefully I have another person on the committee sometime soon. All right. Well, with that, I guess we will adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.